But
Yeah,
all
just
right.
that's what I
Anybody
do.
who
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, I was going to say anybody who might be watching early or catching up, catching the tweets. Welcome. We have with us today Mr. Kevin Griffin. We're going to wait, probably shoot the bull here for about 5 minutes or so, and give people a chance to come in and get all the notifications. So, Kevin, what's going on in your world today?
Today it's Friday, so yay. Um, Today is just full of meetings. Like this is one call in between a bunch of other calls. So
Right.
I had planned to try to go live on my stream this afternoon, but I don't know if that's going to work out. I have too much stuff just packed into the afternoon. I might just quit early today. It's a nice day outside. Go out and hang out with the kids and the family and all that good stuff. But
Well, after we got the remnants of Hurricane Laura, we
yeah,
haven't. It's been too wet to mow, so the grass is about this high. So I think I know what I'm doing this afternoon.
now that you mention that, I really need to mow my backyard. I did the front yard, but not the backyard.
Yeah, that yeah. I'll only be able to get. I'm gonna have to double mow it. It's way too tall. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I hate that because especially if you're doing a push mower, because it's just like,
Hmm.
oh, I'm gonna have
Yep,
to walk the same path twice. Um,
well, sometimes what I'll do is it's a mulching mower, and sometimes if the grass isn't too tall, what I can do is I can just go through and not bag it the first time, and then
yeah,
go over it the second time and get everything that was left over. But what always gets me is if I don't get all four wheels even, and that
yeah,
happens
yes.
sometimes. And then you look back like, darn it, now I got to do it yet again.
A year or two ago, for I guess it was my birthday or Father's Day, we got a riding lawnmower because I have a pretty
Mhm.
decent sized backyard. And push mowing it, I just dedicate the better part of a day to getting that done with the push
Mhm.
mower. It was like I remember there were some days where I was probably out mowing for like 2-3 hours,
Oh yeah.
just because you'd mow and mow, stop, mow, stop. Um, and we bought the riding lawnmower, and it just helped tremendously in my productivity because I could get on the mower and like at least get half the yard done on
Right.
one stretch, and then I would empty the bag, and we compost all of our grass clippings. So I went, I just pull the lawnmower over to the corner, dump the bags, do it again. Now I can do the entire yard front and back in less than an hour. It just
Wow.
saves so much time. Um,
I actually looked at one of those Husqvarna auto
yeah,
mowers, those robotic mower. I looked at it, I was like, the amount that it would cost to pay somebody to do this,
yep,
it actually wouldn't. And so I started looking around and I was kind of concerned, well, what about theft? I mean, because the things, they start at like $1,200,
yeah,
and that would be something, even though it's pretty useless without the base station and everything. I can see somebody coming along and picking it up and going and selling it on eBay for $100, just to make some money. And then what's even worse, what if somebody picks it up and the blade cuts their finger? They'll sue you.
yeah,
But no, I looked at it and they've got all kinds of anti-theft. They even some of the higher end models, they'll put GPS in it, so if it gets stolen, you can track it and shut it down so that it can't be used and everything. Basically, like an iPhone. Something
or
like
let it go on a cutting spree and just like never shut the motor off. So someone takes their hand off.
there
I'd,
you go.
I'd be okay with either.
A friend of mine, his neighbor has one. He said he actually rents it out to the neighbors.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, so I was like, hey, that's make a little money on the side.
That'd be great for a next door neighbor and say, "Hey, look, toss me like $20 a week or something,
Right.
and my robot will take care of it." So-
Yeah, yeah.
and then just middle of the day, up there goes. Up,
Just,
that's
just,
the
just,
easiest
just,
twenty
just set
dollars
it
I
down
ever
the
made.
street. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the demo of that. You go up to like Lowe's or something, and they have a little demo. At least at ours, they have a little demo
I
of
haven't
it
seen that.
where it will stay in its charging station, and you walk up and you press a button, and it pretends to mow this AstroTurf, and there's no blade running in it. It does its loop,
Right.
and then it goes back to the charging station. It's like, oh, this is a really good demo. Someone put some thought and energy into this, and it's working exactly the way you expect it to.
Well, if you go on YouTube, you can see videos of people who have built like little houses and garages for them.
Yeah.
The doors that automatically open and stuff. It's like, my gosh, this is just. I don't know if I would go that far with one, but it would be nice just to. It would be nice just to press a button on my phone and have or just set it to work automatic. Just set it to start automatically.
Yeah. You have to imagine people building the houses and stuff for them. They already have the time and money
Right.
at this sort of project. They don't have real jobs. They just sit back and go, oh, I need something to do. Oh, I'll build a house for my robot lawnmower.
Yeah, really. I know. Let's see here. That's okay. I'm trying to get my windows arranged here. Okay, well, let's go ahead. We got a couple people in here, so let's go ahead and get started if you're okay with that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, well, so as I said before, this is a really special day because we have two firsts. First of all, we have our first speaker interview with Mr. Kevin Griffin, and then also, I don't know, Kevin, if you saw the tweet from the conference Twitter, but we announced our keynote today. The keynote's going to be David Neal.
I love that man.
David is awesome, and plus we're asking him to pull double duty. We since it's on a Saturday. Yep. We weren't going to ask anybody to do more than one talk, but he's going to actually do the talk he was going to do and the keynote and on short notice. So it's like, yes, another crisis averted.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, but Kevin, this is your time. So let's talk about you. So one of the things that I wanted to ask everybody is the 60 to 90-second elevator pitch about Kevin Griffin. Go for it.
Oh, sure. Well, I'm Kevin. Hi, everybody. I'm a Microsoft MVP, 11-time. My focus is primarily ASP.NET Core and deploying solutions in Microsoft Azure. So I work as an independent consultant with a variety of small and large businesses. So I've had the pleasure of working with really large companies like Harley Davidson, Wells Fargo, you name it, and doing this sort of just intimate consulting work is what I really enjoy. I work out of a shed quarters. So this is my outdoor office that I constructed a couple years ago and refinished. And sorry, it's so dirty, but what office is clean right now?
Look at mine.
Exactly. I have 3 sons and an awesome wife, and I live in Chesapeake, Virginia, which no one knows where that is, which is close to Norfolk, Virginia, which a lot of people do know where that is, or Virginia Beach. And in my spare time, I run the HamptonRoads.net users group, been doing that for 11 years. And I also have a conference called RevolutionConf that we were really smart, and we canceled our conference before COVID. Mm-hmm. And then we seemed like geniuses when everyone else was having to cancel their conference on the whim. We were already pre-canceled. So it's one of the many things I do. So much of my time and career has been dedicated to the developer community. I love this group of people, and it gives me opportunities to hang out and learn and help other people grow.
Well, awesome. And you're also a streamer, correct?
Yeah, I try. I try to stream. I don't have a set schedule or anything. I usually try to find time in the afternoon on the East Coast of the U.S. to jump on and do an hour or two of streaming. It's really a problem because I'm an independent consultant.
Yeah.
That it's like, well, do I stream for 2 hours or do I get paid? And it's like, all right, well, let's toss this up. And there's very few client projects I can actually do on the air.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I dedicate a lot of the stream to, all right, I need to figure out this dumb issue, or I need to figure out this tech. Let me work on that in some sort of sandbox that's unrelated to my project, and that's what people tune in for. All right, what dumb thing is Kevin working on today? And then, and I did this a couple of weeks ago. I had some weird web Flexbox issues that I had to figure out. So I did a scaffold of it as a demo, and I spent 2 hours working through this and figured out the issue. And then went back and charged my client for 2 hours. So, because I had to figure out the issues regardless.
Right, exactly.
Live on the air.
Birds. No, but I understand what you mean by that paradox there, because what I've been doing on stream is I've been learning. So like I've been learning Blazor, for example.
Yeah.
And so I've been going through the Blazor workshop, but there are some things like, so like for the Pluralsight course I'm working on right now, it's about Flutter, but I need to have a REST server in the background. So what I'm doing is I'm thinking of, and the REST server is completely unrelated to it. It's just helper code. It's not what the course is about. It's just something that I need, but it's not what so I'm thinking about building that on stream or something. So
that's what streaming is perfect for, is if you have these unrelated, just scratch your own niche projects that you need to work on. Stream is perfect for that, because you're basically killing two birds with one stone, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I love doing that. And there's so many streamers out there who do exactly that. Mm-hmm. They come up with these little projects that they want to work on, and that's what they do on stream. And if they are working on it, they have to be on the stream. It's only a stream project, and I think that's fun. And then you have a lot of streamers out there who they work for companies, mm-hmm. And they use their stream time to specifically to educate. Like they're doing 101 content to 200 level content, but they have a very pragmatic approach to their streams, and that's not me. I'll teach you whatever you want to know, but my stream is usually my entire thought process, A to B.
Well, and also, and that's something that actually I was saying with the Blazor workshop, that I've actually been trying to commit myself to do it only on stream.
Yeah.
We'll see how that works, but I think streaming is a great place for learning. I've been looking at, and I've been looking at Twitch as an educational platform. I think it has great potential as an educational platform, even though they're still largely a gaming platform. That's what they're known for at this point. So, what were you said you've been an MVP for 11 years, and I imagine you've been doing been in this industry for before that. So you've probably got an interesting story about your first computer.
It was a Packard Bell 486. I was 9 years old. Trying to remember. It was a long time ago. I remember my dad and I going up to Circuit City.
Those are the days.
Yeah.
Circuit City.
Bringing it back. So it had a CD-ROM in it. It had a turbo button. So I
forgot about those.
It ran DOS 6.1 and it had Windows 3.1 on it when we brought it home. So the rule was, when we brought it home, it was a very expensive toy, and I wasn't allowed to touch it unless my mom or dad were home at the time. Right. And so I live near Norfolk, Virginia. Anyone out there who knows Norfolk, we're a military town. My dad was in the Navy, and the thing about Navy parents is they leave. They go to sea for a time. And my dad went on a sea tour for 3 or 4 months. Mm-hmm. And when the cat's away, the mice will play. So I just read books. Like the library was the source. There was no internet. So you go to the library, pick out computer books. We bought a couple computer books, and I remember sitting down, like physically reading through DOS for Dummies, and Windows for Dummies. And I just would read a section. I would go play around, and to the extent when Dad came home, I was the most knowledgeable person about the computer in the house, because I had just gone through this book and I absorbed it. And I had made a friend of ours down the street. He was the dealer, for SneakerNet. So he had all the floppy disks. Like, oh, you want WordPerfect? Here's WordPerfect. Do you need DOS 6.2 upgrade? Here's DOS 6.2 upgrade. Like, it's not like people physically paid for software back in the early 90s. So I would just go down, make copies of things, and bring them home. And so I was going through this. I was just trying to learn as much as possible. In DOS for Dummies book, there was a section on QBasic, and I'm 9 or 10 at the time, and I get to that, and I'm like, this sounds cool. I'm like, I'm gonna try this, and I made the computer print Hello World, and it might not even been Hello World. It might have just been, hi, my name's Kevin, and I'm like, this is cool. I want to learn more about this, and went to the library and found some basic programming books where you basically have to hand type the program from the book into the editor, and that's how I got started programming at 9 or 10. Was just I found this chapter in DOS for Dummies, and that started everything.
Yeah, that's basic. I did basic as well. I'm a little bit before you. My first computer was a TI 994A, actually. I think it's still around here somewhere. And you're talking about the books and how you learn to program. So I've been redoing. So you have the shed. I have the bonus room above the garage, and I've been making some space to turn it into a part gym. And while I was moving some stuff around, I found old issues of Home Computer magazine, and this is like from the late '80s, is what these are from. And I just thumbing through them, and in the back they always had these listings of things in there. And this was back in, of course, the days before text editors. You would type these things in at the command prompt.
Yep.
And if you messed it up, you had to go back and start all over again. And saving it to tape cassette and stuff. Those yeah. We didn't have internet, but boy, we had a lot of fun.
I'm the generation. The last generation that remembers life before the internet. So, like, the internet didn't come around until for me until like 93. 93, 94. That's when we got our first dial-up. It's also when I was heavily exploring BBSs as a kid, and so many stories I've never told my parents about what I discovered on the BBS network. And then like the internet became a thing, and we got broadband. In 97, 98, and then it just became a part of life by then. But I remember life before internet, and not many people, there's not many young people that can say that.
Yeah, I did actually Prodigy. Prodigy on DOS. I did Prodigy on DOS. I really did. And I remember the first time that I sent it wasn't actually an email. It was like a email, I guess, didn't exist, but it was like a message board or something.
Yep.
Somebody responded back to me. I was like, wow, this is so cool. Yeah.
Someone so far away on another computer.
I know. And of course, then then finally got broadband, and no longer did somebody have to yell at, get off the phone.
I want to play Doom. Come on.
Well, no, it was usually actually it wasn't get off the phone. It was get off the computer because I want to make a phone call. But talking about, I mentioned, I think I mentioned text editor. What is your favorite code or text editor?
So at the moment, it's probably VS Code.
There you go.
On VS Code is my thing. Before that, it was Atom. Like, I was in love with Atom. Before that, I was actually a paid licensed user of Sublime Text. I just got annoyed with that box every 10th open.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I'll drop a couple bucks on this. And
effective marketing strategy.
It was like back in, like, I'm finally at a point in my life where it's like I will willingly just pay for software because I can afford it, and it's just easier to use once you've paid for it. It's not like my SneakerNet days where I'm calling the guy down the street like, hey, I need a licensed version of WordPerfect. I already have the overlay for the keyboard. Can you give me the discs? Yeah, I have 8 of them here ready to go. But yeah, Sublime Text. And before that, what did I use before that? It was probably like Notepad++.
Yeah.
And it really depends on the work that I'm doing. So majority of my work is in VS Code. It's just a good flexible editor for most of my cases. Because I do a lot of .NET, there's still no good replacement for running .NET in Visual Studio.
Yeah.
And I will typically have Visual Studio up for ASP.NET Core projects I'm working on, and then I have VS Code open for like Vue or JavaScript apps that I'm working on, and they work great for their own cases. And but there's I'm finishing a course right now for Obscurity, and I decided to do all that work in VS Code for demos, and after spending hours and hours and hours in VS Code writing .NET, it's like, yes, it's good, it's functional, it's still not a replacement for Visual Studio. Like Visual Studio just does so much more extra stuff helper wise, so I can't give it up yet.
Yeah, so I work equally across platforms. I've got my PC that I use here, my desktop for video editing, but I really like Mac OS. I just got one of the 16-inch MacBook Pros that I absolutely love, and I do a fair amount of work in Linux. And what I love about Visual Studio Code is it may not have as many features as Visual Studio, but the cross-platform developer experience. I mean, it literally is. It's almost identical. And then plus, I can use it for so many things. I mentioned I'm doing a Flutter course right now. I'm using Visual Studio Code for that. All my Python stuff, I can use Visual Studio Code for that. I can pull. In fact, I saw a blog post this morning about they've already got Jupyter Notebook support, but the new features that they've added. So it's not just for code either. You can interact with databases. The previous course I did on MongoDB, I used Visual Studio Code for the client. So, yeah, but one of the things that's interesting is living in the Python world is talk about code. There are a lot of people who believe that you are not a real programmer unless you use Vim.
Yeah,
no. Yeah, I know a lot. I know a lot of Vim people.
But don't get them wrong. Like watching a proficient Vim user use Vim is the equivalent to watching a magician on stage. I don't understand what they're doing, but what they're doing looks beautiful.
Yes.
So like the extent of my Vim knowledge is if I'm on an unknown terminal, I'm trying to do a git commit message. I can do enough Vim to get in, write my message, and quit. Like if you don't learn anything else, just learn how to quit Vim. You are far more proficient than most Vim users.
Yeah, it's an experience for sure. Yeah. Oh, let's see here. What else can we talk about? I do want to get. Let's go. Well, I want to get to what you're going to talk about at TDevConf. So, give us a preview. No spoilers, but who should come to see your talk? What's the motivation for it? So give us give us the elevator speech for your talk.
Yeah. So I believe I'm talking about Azure Static Web Apps, which is a new feature on the Azure Stack that's really it's focused towards these statically generated web applications that if you're looking at things at a core performance standpoint, like removing the server is a huge benefit. So like my website, consultwithgriff.com, is all statically generated. I go through a build process to build out every individual page that the person might possibly go to. And when you go there, it loads crazy fast. Like you hit enter, boom, the page is up, because there are systems in place to optimize that experience where it's just loading HTML, CSS, and a little bit of JavaScript, but there's no process on the server to figure out, all right, how do I generate this page?
Right.
Let's use a WordPress page as a counter example. You go to WordPress. Let's say an unoptimized WordPress page. But you go to unoptimized WordPress page. It's like, all right, I'm going to index. I need to go hit the database to get this content, that content. Let's put it all together. Let's build some HTML. Let's ship that HTML out to the clients. Static sites are just like, oh, here's HTML directly off disk, some behind some sort of caching server, just load crazy fast.
Right.
And so a lot of sites I build is, so if I'm building something in Vue.js, I can build it down to the core parts where I can still deliver one HTML file and a little bit of JavaScript, and the entire thing works. It doesn't need the backend server, except for maybe a little bit of processing. Supporting this on Azure has been kind of cumbersome because the solution has been either use blob storage in Azure for hosting just a folder that has web pages in it, and that works, and that is crazy fast, but it's a little bit of effort to configure and set up. So it's not ideal. But then if you need any sort of actual server processing, you don't have a server. And the use case I had on my site was I needed to support reCAPTCHA. And so I have a form on the page, and the form should just go to my email marketing solution. But I was getting too much spam signups for it, so I'm like, well, let me put in reCAPTCHA. Well, reCAPTCHA only works if there's a server component, because you need something that's hidden away from the clients to verify the reCAPTCHA. So I was like, well, I don't have the server. What do I do? And the solution is serverless. So I created a separate account for Azure Functions. I created an Azure function that would verify everything. That worked really well. But it's two separate apps. So two separate domains. I have to worry about cores and all that crap. And it's like, all right, well, this works. It's clunky. It's cumbersome. It's not ideal. And so with Azure Static Web Apps, they came back and went, let's make this as easy as publishing something to Azure as an Azure App Service. And let's give people the flexibility of building a static website. And then also let's just inject Azure Functions as part of the main project. So I can have one app that has my static site and also has little snippets of Azure Functions. And it all runs through a GitHub action, but it all gets compiled and pushed out to an app service, and it just runs as a static app on my Azure instance. And it just works flawlessly. It's super fast. It works great. They even have solved some of the major issues with static sites like routing. If you're building a static site for performance, well, how do you support a case where you need to do a redirect? So a 301 redirect, because there's no server that's handling the request. How do you take this request coming in and redirect it to another page? Well, in blob storage, you can't. There's just no solution for that. You have to have a server. But Azure Static Web Apps, they're like, well, just give us configuration. We'll handle that part for you. And it's, again, crazy fast. And they're solving all these little niche issues that Azure users have typically had with hosting static apps in the past. And then people argue, well, I could do the same thing with Netlify and Firebase and this. And like, yep, you're absolutely right. Except those are not on Azure, and all my customers are on Azure. So this solves that particular problem for Azure in a way that makes sense.
Right, and in fact, talk about static hosted sites, tdevconf.com.
Yeah,
that's that one I actually will say it is on Firebase because it's just what was available at the time.
There's nothing wrong with that as a
I don't think that, I'm not sure that Azure Static Web Apps was out of preview then. But
it's still in preview now.
Oh, so. Still in preview now. Okay, that may have been why I ended up using Firebase. But yeah, it's just really simple, and I just make the changes. In fact, David said he was going to do the keynote. I went, made the change to the schedule, Firebase deploy, and it just comes up. So what is your you said Vue.js, or do you have a preferred static site generator, or do you?
I have pretty much settled on Vue as my favorite system for building client-side apps. And when it comes to statically generated sites, you had Gatsby and a couple other little Node.js based ones. I've built static sites on all those. So I've built Jekyll, I've built Hugo, I've built Gatsby. And I really like Gatsby, except I don't like React. Like I've done enough React to know I don't like React.
Yeah.
So I was looking for something that was Vue based, but did the same thing as React. And turns out that's Gritsum. Gritsum is a project basically by some of the core team on Vue, but it's all Vue, but it handles data sources and all that good stuff the same way that Gatsby does.
Right there.
And it has a very active community, which is what I look for in a lot of these tools. I've used a lot of Node.js based ones where last one I used is called Hexo. And Hexo was great, except the community just died. Like there was no support for this project. And the open source people out there are going to go, well, Kevin, you can you can submit pull requests and do this. Yeah, I understand, but
Eat too.
I don't have time for that. I'd rather just be a part of an active community. I don't want to be the person that's pushing a project forward.
Right.
And so I landed on Gridsome. I've built a couple different sites on Gridsome just because it does that thing very well. And it's all Vue. Like I love Vue to death. And that's coming from a background of building production apps in React, every flavor of Angular that there currently is. And I will always come back to Vue because Vue just makes Vue. I wish Vue is probably what I would have done coming back from the old like knockout jQuery days and building apps that way. So this was a more natural progression of how I just think client-side apps should be built. Yeah, I'm very opinionated. I have the experience to back it up. I hope.
Hey, that's why we have different speakers is to get different opinions out there. Yeah. So we talked a lot about what you do. You talked about obviously you're very involved in the community. You run a conference, you run user group 11-time MVP. So, but what do you do outside of work or tech, if you do anything outside of tech at all? I know for a lot of us who are really, really invested in this industry and in the community, a lot of what we do for fun is related to tech.
Yeah. So the hobby I'm trying to get back into. So since having kids, a lot of hobbies just go out the wayside. But I enjoy woodworking.
Okay.
So we just finished a project. I built a new porch on the front of our house. So that was quite the little project to take on, because the porch that they put on the house when we bought it was barely wide enough for you to sit in a chair and your knees not knock the railing. It's like it shouldn't even have called itself a porch. And my wife was complaining about it. I was complaining about it. We just never used the porch. It was just a mechanism to get to our front door. So I decided, all right, you're going to redo this. But if we're going to redo this, we're going to redo it right. We spent a lot of time in our front yards because the kids play with the neighbor kids, and we live in a cul-de-sac. And so I did the design and built basically I added 12 feet of width to the front of the porch. So now it's this like 15 foot by 12 foot porch that we have now, where before it was nothing. So that was an exercise in love. And I also picked the hottest day of the year, or the hottest week of the year, to work on it. So just sweating bullets every day. And in Virginia, we have humidity. So you walk outside, you can cut it with a knife. And
I know about humidity in Memphis.
Yeah. You just walk outside and I would be dry. And I would walk outside, and then within 5 minutes, I am sweating so much I cannot see straight.
Yeah.
But we got that done. That project's good.
I'll be there this afternoon when I go mow.
So, but yeah, woodworking. I enjoy just making stuff. And I think that falls back to a lot of, I think it's a nice non-tech thing I do, because usually with woodworking, you have a start and an end. Like when you're done, there is a physical product that is complete, and I don't have to worry about supporting this dumb thing for the next 6 years. It's just done, and I don't have to worry about it.
It's interesting that you say that, because of course you know Chad Green, and Chad and I were talking one night about we're both big Lego fans.
I love Lego too. Yep.
Yeah, and it's just and you talked about how it does. It is that process of creation still, and everything. But what you said is it's finalized, and I'm like, maybe that also kind of relates over there. So that's an interesting perspective. Almost up at time. So is there anything else that you'd like to say to leave us with?
Not really. It's I am very active on the internet, so Twitter, on my stream. I'm always open to answering questions for folks. I'm looking forward to TDevConf and chatting with the people, and because it's weird times just with COVID and everything getting canceled in person. It's important for us to at least try to maintain some sort of interaction with people, even though it's all virtual. I'm looking so forward to being at a location with friends, and even if we have to wear masks the entire time, that's fine. I just want to be in the same room with friends of mine. And I've been doing this for so long, like just active in the community for 13, 14 years, where just interacting with people is my release. And it's been a big strain on me. I know many of my friends, it's been a big strain on us not having that personal interaction. We don't understand how important conferences have been to our well-being. And, virtual is good, but I'm looking so forward to meeting so many people in person again.
I'm with you. I mean, that's actually one of the reasons that TDevConf was started. It was during a meeting of the Nashville.net user group, and someone suggested, one of the other founders suggested, hey, why don't we have a super user group for all the .net groups in Tennessee? And then and you see what it has disintegrated into since then. I keep, but no, seriously. But no, I say it's a super user group that got out of hand. But no, and what it was, we kept on building it up because there's interest, because really right now we're kind of a big fish in a little pond in some ways. So because so many have been canceled and everything. All right, well, Kevin, so thank you very much for your time today, and thank you for your participation in TDevConf. It's going to be awesome, and we will see you on October the 3rd. The next speaker interview is going to be at 11 a.m. On Tuesday, September the 8th. Sarah Dekavich, Saduki, is what is what normally she goes by. She will be joining us, and so everybody be sure to catch that. And this will be posted. We'll post this in about 24 hours on the YouTube channel and tweet that out. Kevin, thanks a lot. Great to see you. Can't wait till we can meet in person again.
Thanks so much, Douglas. I appreciate it.
All right. See you later, sir.
All right. Take care.
Bye.